Hey, this is so bizarre. I can't believe I'm doing this story. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe visited the White House and met with Donald Trump at the start of the weekend. They did the typical thing where they come out at the White House to these matching podiums, they give some remarks. Shinzo Abe spoke Japanese. And you might recall that typically when you've got a visiting world leader who speaks a language other than English, the US president will wear an earpiece, as do members of the media sitting in the crowd, so that they can understand what on earth is being discussed, because they may not speak the language of the visiting dignitary or world leader. You might know where I'm going with this. Numerous reporters noticed that Donald Trump was not wearing an earpiece for a whole bunch of Shinzo Abe's comments. And Rebecca Ballhaus, the Wall Street Journal's White House reporter, sent out a tweet with a picture saying, Trump does not appear to be wearing an earpiece to translate Prime Minister Abe's remarks. Then we saw a tweet from William Edwards, who's the AFP news agency's video correspondent, saying, our White House correspondent points out Trump doesn't seem to have a translation earpiece, isn't listening to a word Abe is saying. Now, here's the clincher, and this is just rich. Trump was nodding along while Shinzo Abe was speaking as if he understood Japanese, even though obviously he couldn't understand a word of what was being said. I'm going to play a little video and audio for you. We're going to be able to hear the live translation. But the key thing is, Trump can't hear this. He doesn't have an earpiece in, but look at him nod along, pretending like he understands Japanese.
6 months for me to visit the United States. The last time was in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, at the end of last year. I am indeed sincerely grateful for the always heartwarming welcome accorded to me by the American people. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to President Trump. Donald, you must have been very busy.
Check out this hilarious report from CNN about this.
The president was standing there, but not able to understand likely what the prime minister was saying because he did not have his translator earpiece in. Several members of his staff and the vice president didn't either. It wasn't until after that, after the questions got going, that they seemed to realize that they had these translator devices here. So the president was laughing at the jokes at the beginning about playing golf and other things, but he seemed to be following the cues of some advisors who had these earpieces in. Yeah. But after the session went on, he did put his in.
I love how the CNN reporter gives him every benefit of the doubt and says, well, I don't think he likely would have been able to understand what Shinzo Abe was saying, as if there's a chance maybe Donald Trump understands Japanese.
Yeah, there's a chance Trump was understanding what Shinzo Abe was saying. At some point after the opening remarks were done, Trump noticed that there was an earpiece on his podium and realized what it was there for. So some people might laugh this off. But this relates once again to the consistent growing narrative that we have about Trump and his relationship to the presidency and the rest of the world. Donald Trump doesn't care what Shinzo Abe says, and it makes no difference to Trump what Shinzo Abe says. And it also speaks to the constant lack of preparation on every level from Trump's team. Trump didn't realize he would need an earpiece. Nobody on Trump's team told him to put the earpiece on. He ignored an earpiece sitting on the podium in front of him. If I were meeting with a foreign head of state, who spoke no English, one of my first questions would be, how do I communicate? And if I were, not that Shinzo Abe speaks no English, but hypothetically, even if you came to me and you said, hey, David, you're going to meet with Angela Merkel, my first question would be, what's her English proficiency? Or will I need a translator? And in what language will different parts of the event take place here? I found one silver lining, though, Pat. When I read the headline, it crossed my mind that Trump may have actually mimicked a Japanese sounding sort of way of speaking, which would have been insanely offensive. So I was sort of relieved that Trump merely pretended to understand Japanese and didn't do the hugely offensive, just sort of like speaking words that sound Japanese-like, because that would have been more embarrassing, right?
So I'm not going to defend him for not choosing to wear the earpiece, but smiling and going along with it, I think that's okay because there are other kind of nonverbal cues where you can kind of understand what someone's saying. He probably got the sense that whatever Shinzo Abe was saying, it was positive, right?
As we heard during the CNN report, Trump was clearly using visual cues in order to know when to nod along. But the point is, he wasn't understanding a word of what Shinzo Abe was saying, and he seemed not really that bothered by it. He seemed perfectly calm, just standing up there, nodding along without knowing what was being said by the leader of another country. I remember a scene very similar to this, played by Leslie Nielsen in one of the Naked Gun movies. This is just so embarrassing for the United States. Please take the David Pakman Show audience survey at davidpakman.com/survey, gathering information about what the audience likes, doesn't like, and what you guys want on upcoming programs. So please check it out, davidpakman.com/survey. I'm on Twitter at dpakman. We'll take a break and be back after this.